Hi, this is Made by Marnie. I'm Mary Hurdle and I design paper piece patterns. Here's one of my latest designs. I made shark blocks to make a shark attack quilt. And some of you have been asking, well, how do I get the Rickrack into the shark's teeth? So that's what I'm going to show you today. How you would actually sew the Rickrack while you are paper piecing your block. And I'll start out with my pattern, which is a combination block, which means it has more than one piece. And I'm going to take part A because that's the part that has the shark teeth. And you can see that I've actually drawn exactly the way the wavy lines are going to be in place for his teeth. And I'm using 1/2 inch wide Rickrack. I get my Rickrack on a roll. I'm going to cut my Rickrack about 1/2 inch longer on each side than this line is, and we're going to work on the piece that goes between part 1 and part 2 of my block. So I have my Rickrack ready. Now I'm going to get color C, which is an aqua color of fabric, and I'm going to cut a piece of fabric that is about 1/2 inch bigger all the way around than shape number 1. And I'm going to pin that to the back of my paper pattern so that the good side of the fabric is facing away from the paper. If I hold it up to the light, I can easily see that it's just in the right spot. I'm working on the seam line now between piece number 1 and piece number 2. I'm going to take my Rickrack and place it behind my paper pattern on the fabric, hold it up to a light source, and line up the waves of the Rickrack with the waves of my paper pattern. And I'm going to pin it in place. Then I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and sew on that seam line and 1/4 inch beyond the seam line, which I've done right here. Here's my stitching line, and here you can see is how it looks on the back. The Rickrack is now tacked in place, and I'm pretty much sewing just about right down the middle of the Rickrack. Now I'm ready to add piece number 2, which is a gray piece. So you know from watching my other videos that I like to use larger chunks of fabric and sew them on and then trim them later. So I've taken my pattern, which has my aqua color already sewn on, and I'm lining it up so that there's the seam line right here on my gray. Pin it in place, take it to my sewing machine, sew 1/4 inch beyond that same seam line. So I'm restitching on the same line that I just used to stitch on the Rickrack. I'm going to bend it back, trim off until I have 1/4 inch of seam allowance left, flip it, press this away from the fabric, and then I trim off what I don't need. I do my trimming by looking at this side. Trim off what I don't need, but leave a nice 1/2 inch all the way around. And you can see that my Rickrack is right where it should be. And this will be this is one set of his teeth. Now I'm ready for the other row of teeth, which goes between piece number 1 and piece number 3. So I just repeat. I cut my Rickrack, I hold it up to the window, pin it in place right there, tack it down by sewing it. Then I place my number 2 fabric on, and I repeat what I just did for piece number 2 with piece number 3. And that's how I attach the teeth for my lovely shark, and he is just ready to take a nice big bite out of somebody. Thanks so much for watching today.